Nexo en kryptoplattform som gir ut renter til kundene sine mot at de holder kryptoen sin på plattformen. Kan du også ta opp lån med bitcoinene eller kryptoen din som egenkapital. Og i denne episoden her så har vi et intervju med en ansatt i Nexo. I intervjuet så snakker vi om hvordan plattformen fungerer og hvilken risiko man tar, og vi får også høre George sine tanker om kryptomarkedet akkurat nå. Hello, how are you doing today, my man?
Hi, Ole. Very good. Very good. Nice
very
to be here.
Very nice, very nice. So you are working at Nexo. So what is your position at Nexo and what is your name?
That's right. My name is George. I'm George Manilov, and I've been working here at Nexo for, well, it's now actually a little more than 4 years. So it's since the very early days after the company was established back in 2018. It was similar times, honestly, to kind of the times that we're going through right now, bear market again. And I'm in the business development team. So ever since the beginning, I've worn really many hats here, working on the payments partnerships, banking partnerships with exchanges, various types of ways in which we grow our business. And from time to time, I also talk about Nexo publicly, like we're doing right now.
Yeah, nice that you wanted to do an interview with me. I think the Norwegian community also really wanted that comment from Nexo about what's happening in the market. And you guys started in 2018, so you have been through a bear market already. You say the times were pretty similar to what we are experiencing now. So that's good. Businesses that started in 2021 at the peak, they are more exposed for a bear market than people who already have been through it. But the most important question for the Norwegian community might actually be, how is Nexo different from exchanges like Celsius?
So, well, honestly, Nexo has been very specific, it has been very different, not just from the company that you mentioned, but from many other, crypto lenders out there in the space. So like you already said, we were born out in the depth of the bear markets. Similarly to the times that are now. And unlike many of the companies who started, just by offering yield accounts, like the one that you mentioned, for example, with Nexo, it has always been our primary goal to build and launch products that are profitable and sustainable both throughout bear and bull markets, right? And so we really started with our product initially, the instant crypto credit lines, what is today known as our borrow product. And that was a product that really changed the crypto industry because at the time there was no such product. And none of the other lenders that you mentioned or that you have heard started with such a product. And honestly, they never really even developed a product of a similar quality based on what we had. And what we really saw, our founders being early adopters of cryptocurrency, having realized some gains, in those assets, they realized at some point that they want to use some of that value, right? They want to buy stuff in the real world or just get engaged with other assets, but without necessarily selling their digital assets, right? Without selling their crypto, because they still believed there was a very high potential in Bitcoin, in Ether, etc., right? And so this was really how the idea of Nexo's loans or borrow product was born. It was like, well, I want to use my Bitcoin as collateral, just like I can go to a traditional bank, use my real estate, use my apartment as collateral, and get a fiat loan, get a cash loan to do whatever I want with it, right? You can do that in the traditional world. And we decided, let's do this in the virtual world of digital assets, right? And we did it by launching a product that was, honestly like a no-brainer from a business sense. Because on the one hand, basically, we said to users, okay, use your Bitcoin as collateral, use your Ether as collateral, get an instant loan. And then, that loan is super flexible, right? You can repay it anytime. But more importantly, this is a business model which makes sense for all parties involved. So on the one hand, we make money by earning interest, the interest that you pay us for that loan. And on the other hand, sure, you pay that interest, but you also maintain the upside of your assets. You get access to cash, you do whatever you want with it, And when the market goes back up, you repay your loan, and then you're happy, and we're happy. We've made money as well.
Yeah. So what is the interest right now if I wanna take a loan on BTC, for example?
Yeah, so interest rates currently vary. So they really depend on kind of like, the structure. But today they vary anywhere from, it can go up to 0, but that's in case you use a very high amount of collateral. But standard rates vary really between, for the most people, okay, let's put it that way, vary between 6.9 and 13.9% annual interest.
Yeah,
right?
but that's a high interest rate, but I see why it still might be attractive, because you can keep your BTC, and if BTC does a 40% increase in price throughout your loan, those 12% that you paid to loan those BTC, you still earned money because the Bitcoin price went up 40%. So
yeah, exactly. It sounds like a high percent until you actually understand Bitcoin and crypto, right? And you know that we have these parabolic moves here, and so honestly, like these even the highest percent, if you're paying, not saying like you can get down to 6%, but even if you're paying 13%, it still makes a ton of sense, especially if you're a medium to long-term holder, for the reasons you mentioned.
Yeah, and so if I put money into your platform, I can also earn some of that interest that you are as a platform earning. Like if you are earning 6% interest rate on BTC, I can get some of that interest rate myself by depositing my Bitcoin.
That is correct. So basically, this product which I described, it became so successful back in 2018 and early 2019. There was such a high demand for those loans, right? Because they were truly unique. People didn't want to sell their Bitcoin Ether, but they still needed cash for other investments, personal needs, etc. So they borrowed so much that at the end of the day, we were basically out of cash to finance the loans, right? Because, okay, we accept your Bitcoin as collateral, but then, we need US dollars, euro in order to finance the loans to our end clients. And so this is how basically out of necessity, our earn product was born, because we said, okay, we don't have enough cash to finance these loans. So let's go to our community, let's go to the wider world and just share this opportunity. Like, guys, we have this business here, which is a win-win sustainable business where we need more euro, we need more USD, stable coins, right, fiat coins. And with these, we're going to finance those loans, which are going to generate interest for us, right? And we're going to share a part of that interest with you as end clients, right? And this is how the earn product was born.
Really nice story, man. And that also puts it into perspective, like how sustainable it is. You already did this, but then you couldn't sustain it. So then you launched the product so that people like me can give you the liquidity to pay the loaners. Okay, but in 2018 also, this was really attractive for most people because they thought the price would go up, and it has. The price has gone up, so the interest rates that they have paid, it didn't bother them because they made more on their investment in BTC prices going up than they paid for the loan. But now that prices are going down, how are people reacting to that? Are people like paying back their loans? Are they borrowing more? Or how are people reacting now?
Yeah, I mean, it's very individual, how should I say? Like, it really depends on the person to person. Some people are repaying, but honestly, the bear market is also a very, very good moment for people to borrow, right, against their crypto, because this is the time when you can stack, you can grow your stack, right? This is the time when it's cheap to increase exposure to the asset that you believe has the potential to grow substantially in the bull market. And so we at Nexo give you exactly the best tools for you to do it. There's the instant crypto credit line that I mentioned, which recently we have even expanded to also have, so we've launched our card together in partnership with MasterCard, which is the world's first essentially crypto credit card. It's a card that is backed by your collateral. So with our
nice.
Nexo card,
yeah, because
when
we
you
have
go-
Visa cards right now, but that's like instant payment. But now you get a credit card, which means that you can use your credit. You don't have to spend the money right away, but you get a credit to use.
Exactly, and just to
Yeah.
clarify, so with all those other cards, you know, of all the other companies, like literally every single one of them, when you go and pay, essentially what you're doing is you're converting your Bitcoin, Ether, whatever, into fiat. And so, first of all, you're losing the upside of that asset. Secondly, well, I'm not really aware of how the tax law works in Norway, but in many jurisdictions, normally this is a taxable event, right? So
Yeah,
you
it's
owe
it's
some
crazy.
taxes.
You have to like write down all of your transactions with the card, and you know, and if you've never done that
Exactly.
before, that might be hard for you to do.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how all the other cards work. Now with our cards, basically what you're doing when you pay, you know, even if you just buy a coffee for $5 or something, essentially you are taking a loan for $5 for that is collateralized by your Bitcoin, Ether, or some of the other 40 assets that we support. And in this way, there's no taxable event, no like various transactions that you have to report. You're just borrowing against it, right? And you're not thinking about, well, is it now the right time for me to convert some of my whatever asset into euro, right? Or into Norwegian krona. You don't need to think about it, right? You just like kind of have to more or less plan how much you spend, you know. You have to keep your LTV, you know, load to value ratio, basically. You know, if you borrow too much, obviously you put yourself in a risky position of being of having to provide more collateral or maybe repay part of your loan if the price continues to significantly drop. But if you use it like in a sensible manner, right? Like if you don't overuse it, if you set yourself good limits, and if you're considerate about this, it can be like a tremendous tool that lets you to actually grow your stack during these amazing times. I mean, really, Bitcoin at 20,000, 90,000 is...
I know that Michael Saylor is also doing that. He's been honest about that. He avoids taxes by just borrowing against his Bitcoin. I think that's his tweets. He says, "Oh, I borrowed against my Bitcoin. Now I don't need to tax it. I can just keep my Bitcoin forever."
100%.
Yeah.
So we make this available for everyone. You know, you don't have to be Michael Saylor. You can be just like a regular normal person.
But I also have to talk about this, you know. We also have to just talk about the risks, you know. For the people watching, you know, borrowing and all of that can be attractive, but just know that if the prices goes the opposite way, you know, there are risks with also taking a loan. And back to maybe that, you know, some people might have taken loans when Bitcoin was at the all-time highs and stuff. What is the process? What's happening when you have a loan that you have to pay back in BTC and then the prices drops? What's the risk here?
Right. So look, let's say you start with, you have, for example, $20,000 worth of Bitcoin, right? You have one Bitcoin. And when you move this as collateral to Nexo, you can borrow up to 50% of its value in Norwegian krona, right? So let's say $10,000 worth of fiat you can borrow. Right, that's the maximum you can go. You can take lower as well, right? With the card, you can have like, I don't know, you can only take 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 if you are, you know, more like super conservative. And honestly, like if you take that little, you know, chances of something, you know, going wrong are, well, I'll say smaller. You know, I'm not gonna say how much chances are because no one knows what happens, right? Eventually, all of these assets might go to zero. Theoretically, that chance is getting smaller every day.
Very good that you're taking that into consideration, you know, where we have to know that things can go to zero. It's not that likely, but you know it can. So just talk about the risks.
For sure. And yeah, which is another interesting point, by the way, because if they do indeed go down to zero and you borrow beforehand against it, you know, well, you've still used some of that value, right? I mean, like because if you just don't borrow it and then it goes all down to zero, you know, you lose everything, right? And if you have borrowed and maybe invested in something else, or I don't know, like bought something, then you have at least kind of materialized that value.
Yeah, you still have your $10,000 that you have borrowed. So your Bitcoin goes to zero, but you still have $10,000.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying there's really many different ways in which you can think about this, and it depends on what kind. It's not like a one size fits all. It depends what kind of person you are, how much capital you have, what are your goals, how old you are, at what stage in your life you are, etc., etc.
Yeah, I'll probably also make a video about all of your products so that the Norwegian people can actually know the risks and what the gains can be. And I think I'll have to make a video about this so that everyone can understand and knows what they are doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. But just to like slightly add on your question, so like I said, so if you borrow, let's say you go to the max and you borrow $10,000, that is the maximum possible for your one Bitcoin of collateral. That is worth 20,000, right? So if the price of Bitcoin starts going down significantly, and your loan to value ratio, which starts at 70%, right? So not 70, my bad. So it's 50%, right? 20,000 is your Bitcoin, 10,000 you borrow. That's 50% loan to value ratio.
Yes, you deposit 20,000, and because you deposit 20,000, you can get 10,000, which is half of the value of what you deposited. Yeah.
As the price of Bitcoin starts going down, that loan to value ratio increases, right? It goes up to 65, 70, 75%,
yes.
right?
Okay, let me just simplify this. So your 20,000 that you deposited, that was in BTC, but BTC might go down. So now you don't have 20,000 deposited. You now have 15,000 deposited to get 10,000. That's what we are saying here, right?
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes. Okay,
yeah.
nice.
100%. And so when as the price reaches certain levels, right, you will receive the so-called margin calls. As the loan to value reaches 71%, 74%, and 76% LTV, you will receive a margin call over email and SMS telling you, hey Ole, there's a margin call. You need to either repay part of your loan or to provide more collateral. So either deposit more Bitcoin or more stable coins or any other asset that we support, or repay part of that loan.
Yeah, okay, so that's actually pretty similar to, a lot of my viewers are doing leverage trading. We are, borrowing actually each day to, have a leveraged position. And, we get something called a liquidation price. And when the prices of the asset goes down close to our liquidation price, we get a call and say, hey, add to your position, or we will have to sell it. So then what would happen is that what would happen on for example, Bybit when we get liquidated is that we essentially lose the 20,000 that we deposited because we put in 20,000 to get 10,000. So when our collateral has the value of 10,000, which is what we got out. When the value of our collateral go down to 10,000, would the position be sold and we would get liquidated? Is that how it works at Nexo as well?
Yeah, so for this specific product, when the loan to value reaches 83.3%, so as I said, in 71, 74, 76, you get margin calls. So, you can do something about it. If you don't do anything about it and the price continues to go down and your loan to value goes to 83%, which is like, I haven't calculated, but let's say if you've taken a loan of 10,000, maybe that would be, let's say, about 12 or 13,000 worth of the price of Bitcoin, something like this. At that point, we would start selling, we would not completely sell your whole stash, right? Like Bybit do, but we'll start selling small chunks, kind of depending on how fast the price is going.
Yeah, so you'll just cut our position, make it smaller.
Exactly. So essentially, we use part of your collateral in order to repay part of the outstanding loan.
Nice. Okay, so actually that you are able to answer these questions, that's really good. We're getting kind of trust in you. If we did this with some other company, they might not wanted to answer or something. So this is really good. This is really good.
No, but look, I mean, with Nexo, we pride ourselves as to what we're building. We're crypto natives. We're building we see crypto as completely changing the world, and we want to provide tools that enable people to benefit the most from this industry, right? We see ourselves as kind of like this middle infrastructure provider and services provider between traditional finance and crypto finance, which will at some point converge, right? And you know, we're very open about all of this, because at the end of the day, you know, it's not a secret actually. Since the establishment of our company, we have always been aiming to become a bank, you know. And in order for you to become a bank, you have to more or less, you know, behave like a bank. You cannot just all of a sudden turn into a bank like from yesterday to today, right? So we're following a lot of these approaches that traditional financial organizations are doing. We're kind of the first to set those in the crypto space.
Yeah, very nice. And actually, you know, in traditional banks, here in Norway, we get a 0.1% interest. And you know, when you go to get a loan, you have to pay like 3% interest rate. So what Nexo is doing is actually really nice. You are giving more back to the people that are actually giving you the liquidity. So if I take a loan with you and have to pay 6%, I guess I'm getting something like 4 or 5% back if I deposit my coins as liquidity, and that's actually really nice. That's something that the traditional banking does not do, and that might have to do with them being so close to the money printer. You know, you guys are not close to the money printer, so you have to pay us, or you won't get our liquidity.
That's well. There are many reasons. That one of the reasons that you mentioned is for sure a reason, right? We're not close to the money printer, like you say. But then also, you know, we're a super efficient operation, right? I mean, with us, you know, one of the things that we pride ourselves, and one of the reasons that why we've never lost funds of our clients, is because everything here is fully automated, right? Unlike with banks where you have like branches and, you know, thousands of people operating and old systems, like here everything is fully automated ever since we started every product, right? So for example, this partial, you know, repayment that we do on the loans, this happens automatically, right? If it happens 3 a.m. During the night, there's nobody here that has to wake up and actually, you know, do some transactions. This happens automatically because by us actually selling part of the collateral of the users, right? We're able to essentially, you know, secure the funds of people who have provided us liquidity, you know. So this is really key that you set rules, right? Like you say, there are some risks. Sure, if the price of Bitcoin goes very much down, you know, you can lose your collateral. But so the risks are there, but the rules should also be super clear and transparent, and they should be enforced automatically, right? And then everyone kind of makes up their mind how they want to use these products.
That's really nice to hear, and I believe, you know, the crypto industry is competitive, so you guys have to automate things, you have to make things good. So you know, in traditional banking, we as the people are we need the bank, you know, we need our house loan, and we need everything. But in the crypto industry, it's like everything is open and decentralized, and you know, it's the people get more control, and Nexo is a platform that's really great for us to, you know, we can make money off of Nexo, and we can also take loans off of Nexo if that's something that we need to do. Okay, that was a nice chat about your loans and interest rates, but Nexo has also several other products. Like I just saw you launch something called the Pro Exchange. What is that all about?
That's correct, yeah. Yeah, indeed. So honestly, like we aim to launch a lot of world's first products, so to say, like really innovative products that bring value to the users, like it was with the loans, like it was with the credit card. And like just recently, like you mentioned, we launched the Nexo Pro trading exchange, which is really an aggregator where, you know, normally what you do, what I used to do before is like I would go to, you know, one of all the exchanges out there, right? And I would buy, sell some assets or trade, right? But you know, this is kind of like what small investors used to do. Institutional investors, they never do that. Instead, what they do is they trade on aggregated order books. So they trade in venues where the liquidity of all of the largest exchanges is aggregated into one place, and thus they can get better pricing when they trade, and really they can just get more assets for
Yes, so
for
you're
their
kind
money.
of you're kind of collecting the prices of all exchanges and putting them into one place, so that if
We're
I
aggregating, yeah. So Nexo Pro is really an exchange that is really liberate, like it's basically democratizing access to institutional tools for the small investor, where we're aggregating the order books, the liquidity of all of the largest exchanges. And instead of going to every single one of them, when you come to us, you get the best price and the most value, the most assets for your money, you know, be it euro, Norwegian krona, etc.
nice, I'm excited to try that really. So it looks like you have a clear. It looks like you have a. It looks like you have a great development team. So are there any more plans, some huge plans? Can you give us some teasers about what your plans in the next 5 years might be? What's the goal?
Well, for sure. So look, a lot of things. So we see ourselves, we see our vision as Nexo being the trusted portal for wealth and digital autonomy. And this involves like two major kind of like two major directions for us. One of it, you know, the wealth part is really, you know, what we have built. So today, the Nexo retail platform is one place where you can do pretty much anything you need in terms of your crypto wealth. You can buy, you can earn, you can borrow, you can spend with the card, you can trade, exchange with the Nexo Pro exchange. So really that full suite is there. You can have your friends there. That's one. Now, on the other hand, we see, you know, the DeFi, the Web3 space that is evolving is also like an interesting frontier for us, for which we're in the process of developing and building, you know, completely new and separate products. So we can also allow people to kind of enter into that completely new metaverse world that is forming before our eyes. So that's exciting for us, but it's something that's, you know, still coming up.
Yeah, really good because you guys are a centralized exchange. You are kind of like a bank. So how do you see your development alongside the DeFi space? How will you make sure that your centralized exchange has a position in the future where decentralization might be more common?
Yeah, no, we see both complementary, to be honest. I never believe, and we as a team, we never believe there will be full decentralization or full centralization. You know, like this is not like one or the other. It's not black and white. It's more like a spectrum. Like for one particular use case, for one particular product niche, whatever, you may have different types of levels of centralization. So we see ourselves in both worlds, to be honest. We're an active, so we have also a venture arm, Nexo Ventures, where we actively invest in multiple DeFi protocols, right? We're engaged in such. And on the other hand, we're building internally mostly CeFi products right now, right? Like I said, we're aiming eventually to become a bank, right? To work according to rules, regulations, licensing, you know. Even until today, we have acquired more than 50 licenses and registrations across the globe, and we're continuing to do so. So that's kind of the regulated part, which, you know, you have to do because crypto is going to get institutionalized. It is getting institutionalized and regulated before our eyes. But on the other hand, there's all this innovation that's happening in the DeFi space, in the more crypto native space, and we're active investors there. We're also, you know, building a couple of products there. And so we're on that front as well. We don't believe, you know, that there's either or. No, there's this one and that one.
Great comment, great comment. I actually believe we will still need some centralized protocols as well in the future because, you know, my grandma, she would never trust like a DeFi protocol, just something or some automated thing with nobody to talk to, you know, that just gives her a loan. She needs the, you know, the trust with, you know, this is the bank. They fix everything for you. You don't have to care about your seed phrase. They hold it for you. But on the other side, the risk is, you know, not your keys, not your coins. But that's not for everyone. Some people might actually want to trust someone into holding their holding their keys. So I actually believe that's a nice comment.
Yeah. Well, again, both things work together. Honestly, no one has a crystal ball. We don't know how things will evolve. But I do believe, just like back in the days, in the gold standard, you still had custodians. You still had people who hold your gold. Obviously, you can hold your gold yourself as well, right? But there's neither, either or world. I think there's a combination of both things, and we're interested in both of these type of evolutions.
Nice. Okay, very cool to hear about Nexo and all that. So to the market, what is your thoughts on the market right now? Are we approaching the bottom? Have we met the bottom? And when will we see all-time highs again?
Well, if there's one thing I've learned over the past 4 or 5 years, it's that the market always surprises you. So I've stopped really kind of like, predicting the market. Overall, long term, I'm super bullish. I couldn't be more bullish. I think Bitcoin and crypto are our only hope, beyond finance. Just like there's so much that this is changing in terms of incentives and structures in society overall. I do have the feeling, if I still have to answer your question more or less, that we do have some difficult months ahead. I don't expect us to, shoot up super fast. I expect to maybe, if we go slightly down or kind of remain in this bearish or semi-bearish structure for the next few months, maybe until the end of the year or so. But at some point next year, it's kind of hard for me to say. I think we'll eventually, this will finish. Could be, beginning of next year, spring or so. If we're looking at the last cycle, sometimes beginning of next year, we should more or less start seeing the rise.
Yeah, I agree, man. So we shouldn't expect all-time highs right now, but as you said, the market might surprise us actually in the opposite way as well. Go up when everyone's believing it goes down.
Sure.
But I don't really expect all-time highs for another year or maybe 2, actually. So just the important thing right now is just building and investing and creating your own portfolio.
Like we said, it's the best time to build a product, to grow your stack in the asset that you believe, because that's when you make money eventually, right? It's not in the bull market. It's because you've been here, the tough times.
My dad also, he sold all of his banking stocks in the crash in 2008, and he sold around the bottom. He regrets that. So if he had just hold those stocks, he would have made a lot of money in the long term. So I think that can be the scenario we see now as well. If you sell right now, you might actually sell really close to the bottom, and for most people, just holding long term will always be the smartest move. But if you can trade, of course, be a trader, do the risk management. But for most people, just dollar cost averaging, building your portfolio, focusing on the industry itself, might actually be the smart move. So about building a portfolio, we need 100x, man. What is your next 100x coin? What project do you believe in?
Yeah. Well, honestly speaking, I do like to keep most of my stack kind of in things that, let's say the vast majority of my portfolio is really in Bitcoin. Okay, so I'm very much exposed to Bitcoin. Obviously, I have a large stack of Nexo, because that's something I believe in, being part of the project scene, kind of where we're going and the potential. And Bitcoin is a no-brainer. I think like not having Bitcoin is extremely risky. so you should certainly have, and you should certainly grow it. Then I'm saying Nexo. Obviously I'm working. I see where we're going. But generally speaking, coins that are more or less related to sustainable businesses make sense, and there are such other examples in the industry, because it's a different type of asset, right, than Bitcoin,
So
like
your next section that you believe will do well in the crypto space, that's coins with sustainable business models.
Yes, exactly, because they're essentially related to the more or less success of the ecosystem around those, right? And there are such examples. That's seconds, and then, like in terms of a third, I am personally very intrigued by the project called THORchain.
THORchain, yeah. I know that a lot of
yeah.
Norwegian people are bullish on Thor, and you know the coin, it's a rune, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We support it on Nexo and on the Pro exchange. It's a very interesting project.
Do you give yield and interest in the rune or Thor coin?
We do, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Check it out. I
Yeah.
don't want to say something that's misleading, but we do. So yeah, I'm kind of bullish on Rune long term. You know, short term, I don't know, but it's a very interesting project. It's a decentralized project, and that's really kind of like the projects that I'm interested in at this point. I know there's a lot more happening. You know, I've heard many people dive deeper into gamify, metaverse type of tokens. I just haven't had the time to honestly dive deeper there. Probably there are opportunities as well.
Right now, I don't see any gaming cryptos that this is going to do well in the next 5 years. So the gaming cryptos right now, they are I just think they're pump and dumps. They go up and then they fall down. So you can make a lot of money on the way up, but I have still not seen the project that this is going to do well. So it was nice getting your thoughts on something else than crypto gaming.
Having said that, none of this is financial advice. Okay.
Of course, we do not do that on this channel. No.
Everyone's grown up. They do their own research and kind of make up their own minds.
We are just here to give the audience an educated, to educate the audience, and then they have to do their own educated decision.
Exactly.
Okay, so it was nice talking to you. I got to know Nexo a little bit better. I must say I'm positively... Hvordan sier jeg det her, for faen? I am positively... let me just come up with the English word.
It's okay.
Jeg positivt overrasket. I am positively surprised by this interview. So it was nice talking to you, man. We'll have to end the interview now, and I'm looking forward to talking to you more and maybe do some partnerships more on this channel. So great. Goodbye.
It was nice talking to you as well, Orle.